everybody, time for another lesson 24, getting up to the 25 range. Pretty cool. So what's coming up this lesson is that we're going to be talking about the G major scale. If you remember a while ago, lesson 12 maybe, I don't know, we talked about the C major scale. There are lots more scales naturally, and today we're going to talk about the G major scale. If you look at the circle of fifths, hopefully you kind of understood that. I'm going to keep reviewing that because I know it is a lot to take in. But if you look at that sheet, it says the key of G has one sharp, and that's F sharp. So in the scale of G, it's the same thing. We have one sharp, F sharp. And I'll explain more of why that is during the lesson. So anyway, I hope you enjoy as always, and I'll see you for the lesson. Time to talk about the G major scale. Before we talked about the C major scale, we went over the correct fingering for that. You can go back to that lesson. That was a while ago now. I'm not sure what number that was. But take a look for it if you missed that one. A scale is just really, it's usually 8 notes, not always, but in most cases it is. And you really start at one note. So say we have the C scale. You play from C to C and all the notes in between. If you remember here, that because there's not a black key in between every white key, that we have to use a formula to come up with the scale. And if you remember that, so say we have C, a half step's the very next note, or the very next key touching it. So a half step up would be that, and a whole step is 2 half steps put together. So for the C major scale and all major scales, the formula is going to be, so you start at C. This is a quick review of the C major scale. So you have whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So I should have played that with the right fingering. Like that. Now we have the G major scale. If you remember back to the circle of fifths, and maybe you don't remember it because I just kind of introduced it, remember that the key of G, and you can look at that sheet again. I have yet to post that on Wiki. I'll do that hopefully today. Anyway, if you look at the key of G, you'll notice that there's one sharp to it, and if you look at that sharp, that's going to be F sharp. Other than that, we have all white keys except F sharp. So the G major scale it goes from G to G, but careful once you get to E because the next note's F, but it's not F, it's F sharp and then G. So without the fingering, it's just going to go. And there you go. Just remember that next to last note is raised by a half step. So the same formula applies. So we start on G. We have whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Remember, whole step, that's why there's an F sharp here. We need that whole step. And then the last one's a half step. So to retain the formula of a major scale, which is what gives it its sound, the distance between the notes, we need to have that F sharp there. That's what does it for us. So let's take a look at the scale for the right hand with the correct fingering. So you're going to start with your thumb on G. This is actually the same fingering we use for the C major scale, so that makes it easy for us. So you got 1 with G, 2 with A, 3 with B, and then you cross under. So as soon as you hit B, you're going to cross your thumb under, hopefully you can see it, to hit C with 1, D with 2, 3 with E, 4 with F sharp, remember that F sharp, 5 with G, and coming back down it's just the opposite, so 5 with G, 4 with F sharp, E with 3, D with 2, C with 1, and then as soon as you hit C with 1, you want to kind of pivot your hand to be able to hit B with finger 3, A with 2, and G with 1. So again, once you learn it forward to back, it should sound like this. And there we go. Let's take a look at the left hand. Not too bad. So we have, this is also the same fingering as the C major scale. A lot of the major scales have this fingering, a lot of them don't. I'd say it's about half-half. I'd have to go through and count them all. So you have 5 on G, 4 on A, 3 on B, 2 on C, 1 on D, 3 on E, 2 with, is it F? Nope, F sharp. Remember, we have F sharp instead of F. And then we have G. And then going backwards, it's 1 with G, 2 with F sharp, 3 with E. Remember, as soon as you hit this E, you're going to go under with your thumb to be able to hit D. And then 2 with C, 3 with B, 4 with A, 5 with G. So forward and backwards, it's going to sound like this. And then, now hands together, somebody asked me a very good, or left a very good comment, a couple of people actually, and that was, so I can play these scales no problem hands separately, but when I put them hands together, it kind of all falls apart, and that's very natural for that to happen. So if that happens to you, don't worry about it, but how you want to tackle this is you want to master both hands separately, so you can basically play them in your sleep. You don't have to do that, of course, that would be very hard. So you want to learn them, you master them both separately, and then put them hands together and play them very, very slowly, note by note, and make sure with each note you have the correct fingering. So correct fingering, good. Is that good? Yep, still good. So you can move on to the next one. Remember that here's where the problem comes in with switching the fingers with one hand, and it's different between each hand, so that's the challenge. But remember, once you're if you're doing note to note, you see C's coming up next, and you're like, okay, well, C with left hand, finger 2 hits that, that's no problem. But remember that we have to switch under to hit C with the right hand, so you just go note by note. So I'm going to hit that next note after looking at it, making sure that's right. Next note, D. Remember, thumb hits D with left hand, 2 hits D with right hand, you do that. And E you have to watch out for, because that's when your left hand is going to switch over. Your right hand just plays finger 3, not a problem. And so note by note, you're like, okay, E, that's the fingering for it, and I got it. So you go to F sharp, remember F sharp, the most important thing in the scale, I think. And you're going to hit that with finger 2, left hand, for right hand, not a problem, no fingers are switching over. And then you're going to hit thumb G, pinky G. That's pretty easy. Now coming back down, you want to do the same thing. You want to go note by note. Okay, fingering still good. Fingering still good. That's it, right? Down, 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 down. Of course, I sped it up a little bit for time's sake. So the goal is master them separately, and then when you put them together, very slowly, and do it note by note. It's a little tedious. It takes a little bit more time than you'd probably like to spend, but I think with a couple days in a row of practicing it like that, it should start to take shape in your brain and your hands, and you should be able to kind of get the handle on it. So anyway, not sure what's coming up for next lesson, but that wraps up our coverage of the G major scale. Probably some more theory lessons on the way, covering more of the circle of fifths, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway, I'll see you guys and girls for the outro. Okay, that's the wrap up of lesson 24. All we talked about today was the G major scale. Remember, in the G major scale, it uses the same fingering as C major and has an F sharp. Remember that when playing both hands together, you want to first master both hands separately, and then when you put them together, go very, very slowly, note by note, like we talked about in the lesson. So anyway, thanks for watching as always. If you want to, you can like, subscribe, comment. If you don't want to, that's okay. And I'll see you for either Theory Lesson 6 or Lesson 25. Not sure which one's coming up next. But anyway, again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.